First is the configure system. Okay, so this is where you are going to provide the system Jenkins level configuration. On the installation part, we have seen the Jenkins URL, right? If I want to change it, all those things you can just see it here. So the first line it is going to talk about is called the home directory. So this is the what is the home directory of my Jenkins? It is the default one, home var lib Jenkins. And if you want to change it, you can just do it. So these are all the options you can see it here. And next is your system message. If you want to put a message saying that, okay, this is my production Jenkins, or this is my development Jenkins. So those kind of system messages you can put. So in the dashboard is going to show that message for you. Okay. And next is you are going to talk about the number of executors. Okay. So the number of executors is the concept I told you. This is going to define how many jobs are going to run on the particular Jenkins host. Okay. So you can increase it. Let us increase it to 5. Okay. So I want to run 5 jobs parallelly in Jenkins. And next concept is called labels. Okay. Label is going to play a vital role when you are going to allocate a job for a particular node. Okay. When I explain about the Jenkins architecture, I told it is going to have a master slave architecture. Okay. Where based on the job, when I want to increase the capacity of the Jenkins, like if I want to run some 20 jobs parallelly, I'll be adding the slaves to the master and I can push the jobs to the particular slave node to execute. Okay. So how this is going to select on which node I want this job to be executed is based on the label and usage. You see 2 parameters, right? Label and usage. Okay. Let's take a scenario, example scenario where I'm having a Windows node added to the machine. All the jobs which are related to Windows, let's say I'm going to build a Windows Docker image, okay? Then I want that to be executed on a Windows machine. I cannot build a Windows Docker image on Linux, okay? So in that case, I'm going to add a Windows node to it. So while adding the node, I will be provide something called as a label, okay? The label name should be unique. So let's say I'm going to call it as Windows, okay? So then I will specify the usages only build job with label expression matching this node, and in the job I'm going to provide this job should run on the Windows node. We'll see that example how to run the job on the particular node once we add the node and doing that. But based on these 2 parameters only, the job is going to run on that particular node. So the labels and usage are going to play a vital role. Like if I select this, use this node as much as possible, then Jenkins will automatically schedule jobs on them. There is no restriction. But if I select the restrict to only build job with label expression matching, this means, so in the job I have to specifically specify, I need to specify this should be run on this particular node, then only it will run. If I make it as use this node as much as possible, so any job can come and run on this node. So this is where the labels and usage are going to come into picture. So the next concept is called quiet period. So quiet period is something when one job is completed, before starting the other job, I want to give a pass time. Okay, how long that should be? Like before starting the next job, I'm going to give one more quiet period. So basically, this is to say, if I have multiple webhooks coming for the same repo, I don't want to run the job multiple times. So if I wait for 5 seconds, if there is any other webhook coming within the 5 seconds, that will be ignored. Okay. So this is the option for a quiet period. If you want to increase, you can increase it. The default is 5 seconds. Okay. So the next concept is called SCM checkout retry count. That means when I am trying to pull the code from the repo, it's not able to, let's say if it is getting some error in pulling the code, okay. How many times the Jenkins should retry to connect to the SCM, then consider this as a failure. Okay, so that is what this SCM checkout retry count. So you can increase it to 3. if I do that way, it is going to try 3 times. Only after 3 tries, if it is failed, it is going to fail the step. Okay, you can use that. And next is if you want to restrict the project naming convention of your Jenkins, let's say I'm going to define a way the project should be named. So it should be like environment, that is prod, UAT, dev, hyphen, the application name, hyphen, the microservice name, hyphen, that particular component of the service name. So if I'm defining a project naming convention, I can do that using some a pattern mapping, then I can use that. Okay. So these are the options if you want to restrict the project naming. Okay. And I talked about the Jenkins URL, right? Where it will be used. So if you want to change it, let's say you have a domain name for your Jenkins, you can use this option. And next is the system admin email address. Whenever an email is triggered from Jenkins, what should be the from email address? So that is what the system email address is all about. We'll configure that when we see the email notification part. Okay. And then you can also import some of the server resources from the another domain also. Like if you have multiple domains and they are going to share the content security policy, you can provide that. Okay. And if you want to define a global Jenkins level environment variable, you can use this. Okay. And then tools location, like tools is one of the important concepts of Jenkins. Like for example, on a single mission, let's say I am going to use Java 8 and 9 for the application, right? So in my organization, I have application developed on both Java 8 and Java 9. Okay, so I will not be able to tell that. So I will not be able to tell that, okay, I can build this Jenkins can build only Java 8. It cannot build Java 9. So that is where Jenkins allows you to use multiple versions of tools, okay, and that can be pre-installed. Okay, so I will show you that option. So whenever a node is getting added, it will automatically install the tool for you. We'll see that example. So in some cases, there are publicly available tools like Java, Docker, Maven, Ant, or Node. Those kind of tools are available. Imagine you have any custom tool developed and you want that to be installed on the node before running the job. You can define them in the tools location. Okay, this is what in the global properties. And then, so this is the settings which talks about what should be your priority, whether I should concentrate on the quality of the execution or the speed of the execution. Okay, that means if I select maximum durability but slower means, it will ensure that every step of the execution is monitored, but the job execution will take a longer time. And next will be performance optimized. Okay, that means in that way, your job will run faster, but it will ignore some of the steps which are getting executed. Okay, so the default is the max survivability, that is, it is in the middle, right? It is not too much fast and it is also not too much slow. Okay, so we'll use that. And this is where you are allowing Jenkins to send any bug report or crash report. If you don't want, you can just disable it. Okay, and next is your timestamper. So what is the timestamp you want it to be displayed? Like some organization will look for hour, minute, and then second. Or if they want more information, they also need to get the microservice. Or otherwise, I say that for me, hour and minute is enough. I don't want the seconds. Then you can use this. So if you want to change the system time format, you can just change it. Okay, and these things you don't want to go into that. Okay, and if you want to go into GitHub server, okay, you imagine like on your organization you have an internal GitHub, and my Jenkins wants to communicate to that. I can add a GitHub server there. I can provide the URL, okay, name of it, and what is the credentials I should use it to communicate to the GitHub. So those things I can do it. Okay. And then you might aware of the Git plugin. So whenever you install a Git client, you will be providing the email address and the username, so that whenever a commit happens, it will carry these two parameters to that will be displayed in the Git. Okay. The same way you can also sometimes Jenkins will also push the code back to the Git. What should be the username and the email address field that the Git should be displayed, that you can configure in the Git plugin global configuration. Okay. So these are all the options. And what is the default shell I want to use, like whether it is bash or sh. So those informations you can see it in that shell. The default shell for Jenkins is shell, that is sh. Sh is the default shell for Jenkins. You will see that when we are running some executing script. And next is your email notification part. Like if I want to send out an email, I need to provide a SMTP server and details, right? So that is what you are going to provide that. Okay. So we are going to see an example. We'll use Gmail as an email service provider and we'll send some test images. At that time, we'll come and modify this. So all those information you can see there. And this is how the email notification will look like. So this is the template. So what are the information when I send out a notification? What are the information it should have? You can see it here. Okay. And this is the normal email notification. So these are all the default option you will see in the management part. So this is what you see in Manage Jenkins Configure System.